Hey everyone, how's it going? Gregory and Ben here from the Jellyfish Man. If you're watching this video, that means that you have donated over $50 to our project, which is insane, right, Ben? Isn't it
50
insane?
whole American dollars. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. It's
it's
more
crazy.
than I have most days. So
Yeah, same, same. It's insane. So thank you so much for doing that. Everything that we are collecting for this film is going straight to finishing post production. And because of your contribution, we have sent you a downloadable PDF of the shooting draft for the Jellyfish Man. Ben, what is a shooting draft?
I think George Lucas says that a script is never finished, it's just left on the shelf. And so a shooting draft is basically whenever you stop tweaking a script and you're like, fuck it, we just have to go shoot it. So it's the final version of the script that you decide, okay, this is in a good enough place. We like where we're at. We're going to take this and move forward into production and start planning the production. And of course, things change as you start to work with your actors and you talk to your cinematographer and you see a location, but this is the draft that you kind of all stop on and decide to plan the movie around, essentially.
I've heard people call it the blueprint too,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
sort of like it's the best attempt at like this is the house we're building, this is the floor plan, but like
hmm
shit's gonna change.
yeah, yep, exactly, 100%.
Well, cool. Well, and what we're doing in this video is we're going to be reading that shooting draft, and then we'll periodically stop and talk to one another about what's changed from that to the current whip cut of the film. What is it? What is whip, by the way? I don't know that term.
So WIP means work in progress. We
Okay.
are not picture locked on our movie yet. We have done 4 cuts. You're seeing the 4th cut. So while we continue to work out some of the kinks, call it a work in progress. Once it's locked, it is then picture locked, and then things like coloring and VFX and sound design and scoring can all kind of start to take better shape. We're already working on some of those actually. Um, but they start to take more form once it's picture locked because you can do things. You know where everything is. It's like having a shooting draft,
Yeah,
except the
yeah.
edit version of that.
Can you recap for us, Ben, pre-production in that timeline? How long did we have to pre-pro this?
Date on the shooting draft on the PDF file, I think was 12/16, and I think we shot the movie on 12/19 and 12/20, um,
Wow, we were three
which
days
is
before. Wow,
which is
that's
pretty
crazy.
crazy. The first time we met on this project, I think was a few days after Thanksgiving. So, from writing the script through shooting the movie was like
Right.
19 days or something like that, which is like
Yeah, it felt
wild.
like 19 days. It really felt like 19
It was
days.
fast. It just kind of happened that way. This is a project we talked about for years, but didn't happen for various reasons. And then all of a sudden, me, you, and Hagenboo were meeting up for drinks in Dallas because we were all there for Thanksgiving, and
Right
we were
there for
like,
the month. We were there for the month at the same time.
"Yeah." And it was all just like, "Oh shit, you're here, you're here, you're here. We should shoot something." And we are like, "Well,
Oh,
why
that
don't we
Spider-Man
shoot?"
meme. All
Yeah,
three Spider-Mans are
yeah,
in a room.
exactly,
We're just like,
exactly. Wait, what? Uh,
do it,
but
do it.
it was that. I mean, basically, like, we were just talking and we were like, well, we were either going to sit here and catch up with friends and family and get fat for the holidays, or we could make something as well. So, uh,
If you're not getting fat during the holidays, are you holidaying? Probably not.
not well enough, in my opinion.
Mhm. So we decided not to get fat. We spent 19 days talking about this idea. And then how many drafts did we go through to get to the shooting draft? I think it was close to 10, maybe. I mean,
It was a lot.
it was intense. We had to whittle down how we wanted to present this idea.
Yeah. And as writers too, Gregory and I don't we don't write over each other's shoulder because I think that is like reserved for a special place in hell for people. Like so what we do is we talk a lot about a project before we get started, and then we trade drafts. And so I don't remember
Mm,
who wrote the first draft, but we talked about it a lot. I think Gregory wrote the first draft, and then I wrote the second draft, and then
mhm.
Gregory did another pass, and then we kind of just trade it back and forth until it starts feeling right. And ultimately, we landed at the draft that we had after, yeah, it was probably a 7 to 10 drafts of going back and forth. And Adam gave a lot of notes too. He
Yeah,
never took a draft
he
and
was a big
wrote
part
on
of it.
it, but he did like kind of he consulted on the story. He has a story credit on the movie, um, and and gave dialogue notes in the same way that I was talking about you giving earlier, where he's going to play the role. So if he doesn't believe the lines he's going to say, then like it's good to know that from while you're
Yeah.
writing the lines, you know?
I don't think the audience knows this, but we have thought of this world as a feature for so long, for I would say
Yes.
3 to 4 years. And so
Yeah.
when we said, okay, now we want to shoot this project, we're here, we want to do it as a short, it was taking the idea of a feature down to a short. And the
Right.
first few drafts felt more like, I would say, a trailer for a feature as opposed to a short. And then
Yeah.
the biggest change came when we both agreed to limit it to one night. It was like,
Hmm.
this is all going to take place in one 7 hour period. We're going to meet the characters and get to our agreed climax, which was the death. Like
Yep.
the death was always like, that's where it's going to end. And we're not exploring anything after that because we just want to make a statement.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very true. I think also that was probably, and even through the edit, has been the hardest part for me, is because I've
Mm,
spent so much of my time thinking about movies as features and not as shorts. I did that in film school, but since then
mm.
I've probably written close to like 35 feature scripts and
Yeah,
pilots. And so
that
my
is,
head
yeah.
is always thinking about like, how is this a feature? Like, how much time do you
Mhm.
have to develop things? What do you do in scenes in a feature? And not so much thinking about them in the way that shorts do. And shorts work in a very different way. So I
Yeah.
learned a lot from you in that process because you've spent a lot of time making shorts, writing sketches, doing things that are shorter in form. So I was really thankful to have you for that because it helped keep it on the rails, sort of. Whereas I think my drafts tended to be much more like the opening of features. You were like, let's not do this here. We can do that in the feature, and that was really helpful. So it's funny. The title on the PDF is Kincaid, a
Mhm.
suburban fairy tale. The title has changed to the Jellyfish Man.
Why did we change it? This is a good question.
I think Kincaid is too vague of a title for a short, is what we've talked about with each other and Adam
Mm,
Hagenbu and Tyler Hyatt, who's another super close collaborator with us. Aside from being an editor, I'd kind of call him like a story producer almost, sort of, for
yeah.
us.
Mhm.
So he had the idea of calling it the Jellyfish Man because it at one in one part of the movie, Peyton says, you know, he has pet jellyfish. Like it's a funny thing, and it's like the way that neighbors would refer to the strange guy on the
Right.
block,
100%.
and
Oh
it's
yeah, the
more
creepy guy,
right.
the yeah, the jellyfish
The
man.
jellyfish man, yeah, like the guy who has, you know, walks outside with his pet jellyfish and takes his pet jellyfish everywhere. Like, um, so it just seemed like a catchier title than Kincaid, which people think of the painter, and in the future maybe you have time to explain some of that, but we never get into it in the short. So we have Kincaid, a suburban fairy tale, story by Ben Davis, Gregory Bordelin, and Adam Hagenbu, written by Ben Davis and Gregory Bordelin. Um, which this is a fun fact for those of you who aren't necessarily in the movie business. The credits are Ben Davis ampersand Gregory Bordelin because we wrote the script together. You would say Ben Davis and spelled out A and D if I had written 4 drafts, was taken off of a project, and someone else came on and wrote it.
Oh my
Um,
god, I didn't know that.
yeah, so
That
you
is
use
cool. Okay.
ampersands are for writing teams, and is to designate someone wrote this at some point, left the project, someone else came on and did another pass. Um, Scene 1. Over black. Birds chirp. Suburbia rises to life behind strings. Spencer, VO. Randy, don't buy the American cliche, all right? This is bigger than that. Exterior, suburban street. New scene, morning. Spencer, 30, ripped, jogs past rows of suburban McMansions. He shoots a flirty wave to a passing soccer mom. We never had this moment where they wave at each other. It just
Oh,
didn't work out. We do have Rose and Phil, who's our VFX supervisor and an artist, walk in the
they're
background of that
walking.
shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. They're in the background of
Um,
that shot.
but they never this kind of flirty wave never happens. And there's a lot of things that Spencer does in this that don't happen. But um, we go into Spencer's voiceover. You did your time, you felt cultured, and you got fucked by a landlord so you could walk to trendy bars. Hey, I get it. I did it too. Swoosh! His running shoes stop into dog shit. Spencer pulls a plastic sack from his shorts and picks it up disgusted. Voiceover. Comedy clubs are great, but it's time to build your kingdom.
So we actually did shoot that, by the way. That scene where he steps in the dog shit. I don't think
Yep.
it'll make it. Didn't make the whip, and it won't make the final cut. But
No.
there is a funny moment, and then you guys improvised a moment where he, he
Yeah.
fucking
Oh yeah.
throws it in someone's mailbox.
Yeah. So this is a funny story, and it's kind of it's not great filmmaking etiquette, but uh
No, not good human etiquette, I would add.
no, no, but we always imagine Spencer as a super type A guy. There's a scene in the feature where he's jogging. It's very much like this, and he already has a plastic sack on him to pick up after other people, which is just the kind of person that he is.
Right.
So we shot that scene and then had the idea, like, wouldn't it be funny if he put the poop in a neighbor's mailbox? And because of the way that the houses worked and everything, we couldn't use the mailbox of the house we were shooting at because it would be obvious that it was Spencer's house.
Right.
So we asked the neighbors across the street, "Hey, can we shoot at your mailbox?" They were super generous, let us. We shot the scene where we open the mailbox and he puts the poop in there, which was, I think, like something that Rose made in the kitchen with like baking soda
Yeah,
and
it
like,
wasn't
I
real
don't.
poop.
Yeah.
It wasn't real. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
did.
yeah.
She and I had talked about that for like an hour in between takes. It was like, how are we gonna make this poop? And we were on Google just being like, how do you make poop realistically? Because
Apparently, I don't have a sense of smell, but apparently it smelled not like bad, but just had like a really distinct, like, I don't know,
we
smell
couldn't
to it.
even like see it. No, you could. We did. You do see it. Yeah, you do.
You,
You
yeah,
actually see him stepping in it. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, we shoot the scene. He puts the poop that he picks up in someone's mailbox, and it's some neighbor's mailbox. And we get it. We're all happy, great. We're running behind on our day, so we just move along. And we forgot to take the fake poop out of the neighbor's mailbox. And then I just swear to God, like 2 days later, I texted Gregory and Adam, and I was like, "Hey, Adam, did you ever get the poop out of the out of the mailbox on that take?" And he didn't. So I, hopefully
I
it's not
never got
still in
that
there.
text.
But
I never got that. I don't remember that text. That is. I hope that doesn't become symbolic of our film in general. That we left it in the mailbox. You know.
yeah, yeah. Scene three, exterior Chambliss home. Spencer's name is Spencer Chambliss. So exterior Chambliss home morning. Spencer jogs to a stop in front of a pristine McMansion. A glint in Spencer's eye as he takes it in. Pure pride. Spencer, voiceover. Be the fucking king, Randy. Haven't you always wanted to be a king? Then from off screen, we hear the voice of.
Happy holidays, my neighbor.
Spencer looks to find Kincaid, a string bean with an earnest smile, holding an aquarium housing several jellyfish. Spencer, voiceover. Today you build your kingdom, and no one will stop you. Slow zoom on Kincaid, then zoom on Spencer as he feigns a wave behind a snarl. Cut wide, title over both men as they walk inside their castles. This voiceover, we find out, was like a phone call that he has trying to sell this guy real estate, and it gives his ideology on the suburbs and all this stuff. But Spencer just comes off as such a douchebag, and it's on purpose. We wanted to do that. Like I said, in the seat of the character, we talked about, like, if we can make someone feel bad for a douchebag, that would be interesting. Um, so like that's what we did, but it was in a short. This goes back to, like, trying to
Mhm.
deal with a short versus a feature. It's hard to let go of the fact that he's a douchebag. You just think about that the whole time. So starting that way was a really strong imprint, and no one liked Adam, and that was like a problem.
Yeah.
We had to figure out how to rework that. So um, and also it was better for us to get immediately into the conflict.
Right.
So starting the short is essentially about a neighbor who is keeping his other neighbor up all night long, right? So we wanted to start there immediately. That was like your idea. That was my manager Adam Redjuan's idea. My roommate Brian White, who's a talented short filmmaker and filmmaker in general, like, was his idea. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so and all those ideas were right. Going against my instincts as a feature film writer. So uh, we just kind of had to do it. Like we tried it, and Tyler sent us the first 30 seconds of the new cut, and we were like, oh. All right, scene 4. Interior, Spencer's office. Spencer, hair perfect in a press suit, hangs on his phone. If his house is his castle, his office is his throne room. Spencer, did I lose you? Randy?
I'll yeah, we love the house. We'll take the offer. You can close.
Castle, Randy. Congrats on your castle. Send you over the paperwork. Here if you have any questions. Spencer hangs up, basking in his glory before. Honey, we're gonna sleep well tonight. Cut. What a stupid. I've watched a million episodes of Growing Pains, and boy, does it show in that line.
I was
God.
like, there's certain times when we were writing the script where I was like, if he wants it to be a 1950s sitcom, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna fight him. I'm just
Yeah.
not gonna
So
fight him.
much money. Okay, let's do it. Put the offer in on the house.
Castle, Randy. Congrats on your castle.
Yeah.
Send you over the paperwork. Here if you have any
Hey,
questions. Honey, we're gonna sleep well tonight.
We did talk about that early on too, though. We're making a movie that knows it's a movie, and that's part of like the facade of it all is like it's supposed to feel a little bit like ham-fisted somewhat, so
Yeah,
that
exactly.
certain things work a certain way. Um,
That
but
just, I mean, that was always our sense of like humor too, was being self-aware.
yeah,
Like, we liked characters who were self-aware.
so this is funny. Scene 5 now is where we open the movie in the current work in progress, and I'm sure what will be the final cut. So um, Scene 5, interior, Spencer's bedroom night. Spencer sleeps next to his wife, Peyton, in an opulent master bedroom. A baby monitor purrs next to their bed. A slow zoom on Spencer until strings, violins, the first few notes of Ode to Joy play from outside. Spencer sits up. No. The music picks up, louder, booming from outside. He shakes Peyton awake. Did you hear that? Pate.
Huh? What? Babe, what are you?
The music. Listen. A beat. The music rises in volume.
The neighbor.
Kincaid. He's not even California socialist strange. He's just a freak.
He's, he's a little off. Just let it go. Babe, try and sleep.
Spencer lays down, still for a beat. He closes his eyes. A long beat as the music builds. Then his eyes fire open.
It reads like an opening scene now that we see this in hindsight, right? Like it's very
Yeah.
yeah.
It is funny. There's like an old screenwriting adage that says like if you want to save page count on your script or you want to make your scenes better, go ahead and cut whatever the first and last line of is, and and that's funny because we didn't cut the very last line. I think we end the scene now on "Let It Go, Babe, Try and Sleep," but we did cut "He's a little off." We cut the "He's not even California socialist" strange line. Um, Less is usually more if you can get away with it.
Definitely.
Scene 6. Um, Interior, exterior, Spencer's front door, night. The music rises. Spencer fumes through the foyer of his house to the front door. He opens it only to find Kincaid.
Happy holidays, my neighbor.
Kincaid holds a moleskin notepad in his hand and makes notes through the conversation. Ah! Why are you at my door?
I wanted to see if you liked the music. It's a holiday song.
Kincaid. It's 3 a.m. Violins are a little harsh at 3 a.m.
Noted. No violins. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? It helps me connect.
It's loud and will wake our baby. I told you this last time. Our room is like right next to your backyard, man. Turn it off.
You're upset. Do you want a hug?
No. Spencer shuts the door. He shakes his head and walks to interior Spencer's bathroom night. It's funny. This is one of those scenes. When we shot this scene, if I have any regrets about the shooting schedule or whatever,
Mhm.
we did what we had to do to shoot the movie kind of around the holidays and be courteous of our location, which was the great Fruhan
Sherry
House,
Fruhans, the
who's
great Fruhans.
who's
Whoa.
basically like our movie mom. she's worked on so many projects and helped us in so many ways over the years. So she let us shoot at her house, which if you've ever shot anything, you know that that is such a huge thing to let someone do. Um, but
It's always the biggest cost to a movie
oh my god.
if you're paying a celebrity, that's the biggest cost. But then behind that is a location
Well,
every time.
and aside from that, it's just disruptive as hell.
It is.
Even if you want to let, even if you're nice enough to like not charge someone to shoot in your house, they come in, they bring their own shit, they move all your stuff, they like bring all this gear in. Strangers are coming in. You know, it's like it's such a generous thing that they let us do. But we were trying to be like, you know, we were thinking about that. We were thinking about the crew who wants to spend time with their families around the holidays, who are all colleagues of ours that we work with usually in commercials in Dallas. Um, and this is where we shot this. Um, so we only
You
had
know
two
what?
days to shoot,
Yeah.
and we were running behind on the towards the end of the day and still had a whole scene to shoot. So we kind of had to shoot all this doorway stuff really quickly. And the dialogue is supposed to be pretty particular, and I think we've made up for it in the cut, but we never quite got it 100% on the day,
Hmm.
um, because we just had to. We could only do about 3, maybe 4 takes of each of these
Yeah.
scenes, and we had to shoot a lot of different coverage because it is a conversation, and we were shooting single cam, so uh, it you know we didn't ever quite get the cadence correct, but I think Tyler made up for it with some pacing in the cut. Um, and it's just something that happens, you know, when you cram something that you should
Yeah.
shoot in 3 or 4 days to actually do it, you don't always get all the time that you want on every scene. So um, these doorway scenes, I think, is that place in this movie where it's like, oh, I wish we would have had another 2 hours to work on those scenes. Like we didn't. It's so funny. We did like a bunch of rehearsals with Adam and Teresa because they had never worked together, and I think we did like one. We did like one or only one or two with you and Adam, who are in the whole movie because you
We
guys
did.
are
No,
friends, and like we spent so many hours talking about the movie and talking about everything but how you say these lines that we were just like, oh, we don't really need. So fuck.
yeah, you're right. We just kept talking about it, and I was like, well, I know this character.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
on that day too, we were lucky enough to have my friend Anthony Milton was our AD on our first day, but he had prior commitment that he couldn't be there for the second day. So you were our AD that day. So you were producing and acting and being our
Oh,
assistant director that day as well.
right. Oh,
So then you had to snap out of that and go do the most heavy dialogue scenes we had to do, which were these doorway scenes. So
I think I know I'm a Gemini because I'm someone who can be an AD and a lead actor on set. That's just like that definitely means I'm a Gemini.
I'm rolling my eyes so hard at you right now. Scene 7, interior Spencer's bathroom night. Ode to Joy still plays. Still playing from outside the speakers. We can hear it from inside. Spencer pees. Midstream, Ode to Joy cuts off. Spencer squeezes his stream off, smiles as he takes in the silence for a moment, then lets the stream go, relieved. The scene is cut now. It just takes up time. It's 20 seconds for a pee joke, which I love. It's a very John Hughes moment, and a very like just like fun. Like this guy's been stressed. He's peeing. He stops to pee. There's silence, and he can hear the stream of his own piss, and that's funny. But like, it's more of a feature moment again than it is a short moment. So we cut it. Anything that doesn't serve the kind of single theme of like neighbors trying to relate to each other is kind of been cut from the movie for the better. But it's one of those things that like you'd have the time to build the character out a little bit more in the feature, but we just didn't need it here. So
Well, shout out to our film that we did two films before this one, Voicemail. we got a great bathroom scene in voicemail.
Dad, I am.
We did.
If,
Yes, we did.
if you're trying to get a bathroom scene in your comedy, you'll get it. That's our advice.
I'm now realizing that I really love bathroom scenes. All right, scene 8, interior, Spencer's bedroom, continuous. Series, Spencer tosses and turns, unable to fall asleep. Side note, a lot of times in screenplays, you'll do begin montage, end montage, begin series, end series. Series, is just a fancy way of saying like there'll be probably several shots of this to show some kind of effect, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
something that people who read screenplays will see and understand. So instead of writing the exact amount of times he tosses and turns and all that stuff, you just say, we see Spencer toss and turn, unable to fall asleep. It gets the sense that we just kind of are watching several cuts of him moving around in bed.
And when you're shooting that too, and you're like when you're breaking out your shot list, how do you write multiple shots within a series description like this?
It depends on what the series is. Sometimes series are a little more involved, where a lot of series aren't quite a montage. Like to me, a montage is like like the classic montage is like trying on suits or like dresses for
Mhm.
like a school dance or something. It's like you might go to several different stores and try on several different things, and there's like little beats that happen within the montage. A series is like much shorter usually, so it's like
Right, right.
you might see like a series might be like he brushes his teeth, he turns on coffee, he sits at the table, and then the scene starts, right? So it depends on what the series is. For this, I think I just made a note of it and then rolled off several because I knew it would probably be jump cut um, instead of like different setups. So I think I just made a note in the shot list that was like grab lots of footage of Adam tossing and turning, and I think you can
Right.
probably hear in the takes me saying like, "All right, now grab a glass of water, okay." All right, now toss and turn. Well, fluff your pillow a little bit, like stuff like that. And we just grab all that and then throw it over a picture later. So Spencer checks his phone, 3:48 a.m. He winces his baggy eyes and gets in bed. A long beat of silence. He drifts off before Ode to Joy returns, now only in piano. Spencer, unreal.
Ignore it. Just try and ignore it.
Spencer lays back down. He shuts his eyes, peaceful. The camera zooms off Spencer's eyes and zooms on the baby monitor. It holds for a beat that feels like forever, and wah! A baby cries. I got it. Okay,
I was
so
gonna say, I like the way you read babies.
yeah, lots of experience, zero experience. Uh, Most of the scene is cut now.
You use moments though. Use like
Yeah,
certain little inserts and
we see him check the phone, and we come in from the dream sequence, which was something we concocted later in post. And I think there's nothing more stressful than hearing a baby cry. So um, we put that over the dream
yeah.
sequence. It starts to come in, and then that sound takes us out, and we land on the baby monitor, and we hear it, and we realize it hasn't been another day. It's actually just been a dream that he's had of Kincaid. So
Yeah, I like the decision in post, and I don't feel bad that we got rid of a lot of this stuff, especially the dialogue. It's another example of you think you're shooting one thing, and then later you
yeah,
realize it's less.
yeah, yep. Scene 9, interior nursery, night. Crying, Spencer, bloodshot eyes, fights a baby to sleep as Ode to Joy continues to play. His eyes go wide. Zoom in on Spencer, incensed. Lights dim in the background. Cut to. This scene is still in the movie, and it's very short. It's my my nephew is in it. Uh, so the baby in this scene is my little nephew Davis. He was just over a year when we shot this,
Mm,
and
oh, you old
all the crying is
Davis.
real. He's
He hated Adam. He hated Adam.
yeah. We brought a 1-year-old baby in with his parents into a room full of 15-year-old strangers, mostly men. Um, And
15-year-old? Oh, no,
sorry,
15.
we brought this child into a room full of 15 strangers who were,
Yeah.
mostly 30-year-old men, and the w- like we tried to give him to Adam like a minute before the take, and he just went ballistic. So we were like, okay, we're gonna have to roll and then hand the baby off, and then just like go, which is great because we needed the baby to be going ballistic anyway. So like it worked.
I want to give I want to give Davis a big shout out because Davis will be an actor in the future because of this. He makes a really good decision, and that decision is in the cut. You see him push his head down
Yeah.
because he's at the stage where like pushing the face doesn't work, so he is trying to
Yeah.
pry his body off of Adam. He wants to fling from Adam's body, and he's using his head and hand
Yeah.
to do that. It's such a bold
He's a
choice,
very physical
and
actor, my nephew.
he was great. You totally get the point. And also, we did not pay a set teacher. We didn't have to. It was Ben's family member.
Yeah.
This wasn't a SAG production, so the the fact that we could have a baby it upped the production value.
It
But
was
also,
it was
he was
pretty
great.
horrifying for my sister. Like
Oh,
his
she did not have a good
no,
experience.
his mother, she was sitting in the living room, and we kept doing the thing where we'd go over to her, and this if you've ever been on any movie set, where we'd say, "I think we'll be ready in about 10 minutes," and then about 30 minutes later, we think we're almost there, about 10 more minutes, and then about 30 minutes later, oh, but yeah, just like give us 10 more minutes.
I thought we did. I thought her call time was pretty close to them shooting. I
No,
thought we kept it
no,
pretty close.
it was like an hour. We
Oh,
were like an hour late. So she's there with Davis, just trying to keep him happy while we're shooting other scenes. Um, and then uh, I bought them all dinner. It's fine. But we roll the take. My brother-in-law brings Davis in. Adam takes him. Davis starts going crazy. My sister's just behind the monitor, going like, "Can I go get him? He looks so sad." Like he's just, and he was really,
he was
he went through
upset.
something. So I love you, Davis.
And
I'm sorry.
And Davis, you're going to be seeing this in the year 20. You'll see this in 2032 at least,
Mhm.
and Ben will pay for your therapy for this exact
Yeah,
moment.
yeah,
This
yeah,
moment, he'll
yeah.
pay.
Scene 10. Interior, exterior, Spencer's front door, night. Spencer opens the door to Kincaid.
Spencer, happy holidays, my neighbor.
Ah, you! Why? Why are you here? I was just coming over to your house.
Oh, do you want me to come over and
Nope, this is. What do you need?
is the music better now?
No. Off. I just got my son back to sleep. I asked you to turn it off.
I did.
Now. Turn it off now. Kincaid hits a button on his watch and the music dies.
Apologies. I told you I needed to connect. I turned it off 52 minutes ago. I thought you might like it more now. There's no violins in this version.
Are you fucking with me, bro?
I'm not fucking with you, bro. I'm not fucking with anyone. I can't. You said screeching violins are a little harsh at 3 a.m. This is a piano solo. No violins. Isn't it beautiful?
Where are you from?
Far away. I went to Austin first.
Austin, of course, Austin. Things are a little different in Austin, but in Twin Creeks, we have a curfew and respect our neighbors. Spencer stops. Kincaid writes in his moleskin and looks up. As soon as Spencer stops talking.
Please continue.
What is that? What are you writing?
I'm not ready yet. It's
Spencer grabs the moleskin from Kincaid and flips through. Insert. The journal is full of transcripts, writings in another worldly language, and sketches of Spencer and Peyton. Kincaid has been watching them. Did you draw these, or are you spying on us? Creep?
I recorded them.
Oh, come on. What is this? The fuck? Gross. Get out of here. Spencer slaps the journal into Kincaid's chest.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Now, get off of my property. Go. Water crests Kincaid's eyes.
You're so angry. Do you want a hug?
Kincaid approaches with open arms. Spencer pushes him hard, and Kincaid stumbles to the ground. Get away from my house. I don't want to hug you. Don't touch me. Don't you dare fucking touch me. Kincaid retracts, wounded. Tears break his eyes.
Oh, no. Oh no.
Next time you wake me up, next time I hear one note from your backyard, or you even look at my family, I'm calling the police. I'm fucking serious, Kincaid. Understand that? Kincaid scurries home. Slow zoom on Spencer's terrified stare while Kincaid scurries next door. Hold on, Spencer.
Big scene.
Wow. Big scene. Lots of changes.
Lots of changes. Reading it now, this is another example of less is more, and I think
Absolutely.
we were coming from the feature version, and we just wanted all the context and subcontext to be implied. Like we wanted everything in there, so you could understand that Kincaid was different, and Spencer was really pissed off. Like, but when you're on the day and you're filming, I'm so glad that you guys took out so many of these lines, and it just plays faster because you just get it. You just get it without all the extra stuff.
Yeah, this is one of those weird things that happens when you get to shoot a movie. Like I talked about, the shooting script is just like you decide it's good enough and then you move on. But like we shot the last scene of the movie was one of the first scenes we shot, which is a scene where there is real physical confrontation between Kincaid and Spencer. Um, and after shooting that scene, I think we just realized, kind of me, Adam, and Gregory, that like that moment should be the only moment where there really is true physical altercation or where things really get that hot. Um, so we kind of we kept things stern, but we, aside from him slapping the journal into your chest, there is no physical altercation. There's
Yeah.
no pushing. This whole bit about yelling as you like run away from the house is cut completely. Um, we took a lot of the anger out of that scene, and he's still very mad and still very frustrated, but he plays it at a lower level, and it's not as explosive because we
Yeah,
wanted to save that explosion for the end, I think. And I now reading it again, like I'm really glad that we did that.
me too.
um,
Me too. And I'm glad that the third act was the first thing we shot, because and that you had the hindsight to be like, okay, let's dub down the performance. Let's take out some of these extra words, and Adam gives this amazing moment.
Do you want a hug? Do not touch me. I want you to get off of my property or I will call the cops.
Yeah, so what's in the script is this line where he says, "Get away from my house. I don't want to hug you. Don't touch me. Don't you dare
Yeah.
fucking touch me.
Mhm.
Don't you dare fucking touch me." But that whole thing, that is very much done to be almost like a rambly sort of like flustered, like almost like Bradley Cooper in American Hustle sort of a thing, right? Like where it's almost played to comedic effects, like, "Get away from my house. Don't want to fucking hug you. Don't fucking touch me." Like that sort of a thing, which is not at all, it didn't work at all when we tried it because of all of the things that we've talked about.
Right.
So
Mhm.
um it came down to Adam just saying, "Don't you touch me," in a very strong way, and it
So
works so much better.
so much better. Yeah, it grounds him as the protagonist. We as a viewer are like, yeah, this is weird. This dude's he's first off, he's rung the doorbell twice, and he keeps playing the music. And now this
Yeah.
journal, he's drawing photos of me. Most viewers can sympathize with you know Spencer at this point in the film.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
And that
I think so too.
do not touch me is it's just Hagen Boo. He's one of the best.
Hmm. Oh, one of the other things too, and this is, one of the great parts about filmmaking, that you can, when you shoot a scene where you didn't have the time to get the cadence correct, or people are cold or whatever, you have other pieces of the movie that you can use to make up for that. And our
Hmm.
uh, Philip Heinrich, who did the VFX, drew these drawings in the journal, which are amazing. Like they're so brilliant. And so we shot, like, I think there's only one shot of him like flipping through it, but Tyler, when he was cutting it, was like, "Hey, did you guys," again, you being like, "Hey, we should shoot inserts of the journal," and me being like, "We don't need to shoot inserts. We're not wasting time with inserts."
I'm a big
Tyler
insert
texted me.
stand. Big insert
Ty-
stand.
Tyler texted me when we're cutting. He's like, "Hey, how come you didn't get inserts of this?" I was like, we didn't have time. Gregory wanted to, and I should have." And so he's like, "Well, you have the journal still?" I was like, "Yeah." So he's like, "Just send me some iPhone photos of the journal." So I took a bunch of pictures of the journal, sent them to Tyler. Tyler put them in the cut, and it really works. It helps us to get away from some of the lines that maybe didn't work as well, that aren't in the movie. And It builds a lot of tension, and it features the great artwork that Phil did, because those drawings are like
They're
awesome.
amazing. They're really great.
So it's fun when you get, when you have people who are very talented. Like we are lucky enough to have so many talented friends like Phil and Tyler who have, ideas and do things that make up for shit that we didn't do, right? So that's cool. Scene 11, Spencer's office, morning. Close on, Spencer's eyes illuminated with blue light. He scans a computer monitor in front of his face. Insert monitor, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, search, Kincaid, enter, search, Kincaid, Austin. No results. Spencer sits at his desk. He slurps a coffee cup dry and refills it with a full mug. No results appear again and again. He sits back, dejected. Spencer, pre-lab. I Googled him, checked Facebook.
Yeah, again, not as many inserts because our director is not a big believer in inserts.
No, that's not true. We actually shot a lot of inserts for this scene. We have, like, for some reason, we have way more coverage of this scene than we ever
Really?
needed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was one of those things. It's like this was the last thing we shot on day one, and it's just Adam sitting at the computer, and a bunch of the guys were wrapping up some of the other stuff. So it was just me and Adam,
And Aaron, yeah, just in a room.
and Aaron, and we just kind of like shot. There's all kinds of stuff of him at the keyboard and him messing with his glasses and him drinking coffee, and like we have we have more than we need, and I think we only use 3 shots in the movie.
Would you add any more of those things now to the final picture lock?
Well, what's funny is that in the last version and in most versions of the cut, none of this is in there.
Yeah,
we just put it back in. It had been nixed completely. We had a little bit of trouble with the next scene, starting it. Again, it was a coverage thing. I didn't shoot enough coverage on Teresa, because I wanted to open the scene on a 2-shot, and it just wasn't working. So we used some of this stuff to help get us into that scene and cut some dialogue in the same way that we used the Phil's pictures in the last scene.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with Teresa's performance. She's like amazing, but like I just didn't have the right. We tried to do this split diopter thing that didn't work, and even in the 2-shot that we didn't use the split diopter, it didn't work. And so luckily we had a lot of this footage, and we kind of overlaid it so that it worked a little bit better. Where were you when we were shooting this scene?
Oh my God, I don't know. Day one.
Were you producing stuff?
I was producing. I was also, we had just shot all the pool stuff in the backyard, and then we were back inside. So I was like,
I know what you were doing.
What?
You were trying to get your car to work.
Oh my God, my car died on this set. Oh my. So, okay, you know what? Here's a quick North Texas geography update for people who don't know this. Dallas, where I live, is almost 30 miles south of Allen, the small town that we shot this in. So I drive up to set on the day before our first day. My car dies. My car dies up there. And this was one of those independent shorts where the writer, actor, director, executive producers are buying crafty and putting it in their personal cars. This is not, we did not pay someone to do that.
Yeah. No. We went and picked out all the crafty and bought it and at the Walmart down the street from Sherry's place, and then got back. And when we got back, his car died, and we literally had to push the car into the Fruitons driveway. It was a mess. And then I think you were wrapped for the day, so you were like, and we had Anthony Milton that day, so he was the first AD on that day, and so I think you had stepped out front to try to figure out what was going on with your car.
Yeah, crazy. So it's crazy what you have to do as a human being on set, and then also do this make pretend industry thing too. It's just crazy.
Scene 12. So scene 11 really kind of combines with scene 12 now. We just sort of used that footage overlaid instead of like being a scene followed by a scene. So scene 12, interior Spencer's bedroom, morning. Spencer sits on the edge of his bed. Peyton stirs and grabs her phone, checking the time. It's nearly 5 a.m. Nothing. Not one thing. So we pre-lap into that scene. So the last line of that scene is, I Googled him, checked Facebook, nothing. Not one thing.
Spencer, it's like 5 a.m. The father of my child is obsessed with the weird ass neighbor.
I'm not obsessed. He's a threat.
Okay.
I'm serious, Peyton. He had drawings, lots of sketches of you and me. Tell me that's not weird.
It's weird. Okay, it's weird. But, babe, the guy has pet jellyfish. He's not a threat.
I'm just saying, if he does one more thing, one more weird ass thing, I'm done. This won't happen next door to me. Not my house. I earned this house.
Noted. Can we go to bed now? I'm starting to hear the birds chirp.
A beat. Spencer sits there, staring at her, concerned. What did you say?
I hear birds because it's morning.
No, noted. You said noted. Kincaid says noted.
Noted?
Noted. Yes, that. Just like that. Noted. Noted. Did he come over here? A long beat. She stares back at her husband.
You're really losing it. Please try and sleep. I really think you.
Music, classical, booming from outside. It's Ode to Joy, and Spencer doesn't even say anything. He just jumps, standing atop his bed like a madman, yelling inaudible.
Calm down! You will wake the.
Strings! The fucking strings! He's taunting me.
Spencer, no, it's okay. It's fine, okay? Breathe. Just call the cops. Do not go over there and make this about you.
Wah! The baby's cries pierce the baby monitor.
Jesus.
Where are my shoes?
I love this scene. And also, big freaking shout out to Teresa Rowley, who was Peyton in this. We had shot a McDonald's commercial with her, like a few months before.
She was just awesome. Like we casted her for this commercial, and we had a great time with her. She was just super cool, and we had a fun time working with her. So we asked her to do this, and she did it for free.
But I mean, Teresa's one of those actors too. She has a really big theater background, so she's used to playing things big. And when we worked with her on McDonald's, she had to play everything really subtly. So there was just a range inherently in who she is as an actor. She can go big, she can go small, and I loved a lot of her choices in this. Like, I mean, she was a character on her own, which is in the feature version. Peyton is also it's the three of them, not just Spencer and Kincaid's story. So and I thought she brought a lot of. I just believe her. Every time I watch her, I believe her, and it was really fun to see her work in this scene. And God, Adam standing on that bed and screaming, that was so fun.
Yeah,
so
it's great. I really like this scene a lot. It's really funny. This scene gave Tyler, our editor, a real hard time. And this is sort of like almost the reverse of the doorway scene, where in the doorway scene we didn't have enough time to quite get the cadence correct because we didn't do many rehearsals, because you and Adam are friends in real life and you both worked on the script and we knew it. So we were like, we don't need to rehearse as much. We can spend those 3 weeks doing other production things, right? Pre-production things. But we did the opposite here. We did a lot of rehearsals. I think we had 2 or 3 like 2-hour-long Zoom sessions with Teresa and Adam because they had never worked together before. We wanted them to know each other. We wanted them to feel comfortable. They have to lay in bed for like 5 hours together. So we were like, we want to do that. And in doing that, like, they sort of co-wrote this scene, really. Like, this is not the version of the scene that it started at. Like, all through rehearsals, they would just say little things or like deliver lines a certain way that worked better. And so I literally rewrote it up until the last day before we shot. And because of those rehearsals, the scene itself is great. And a lot of like what they suggested is in the scene now. The only reason that Tyler struggled with the scene was because I didn't shoot enough coverage. I just shot this one master and didn't shoot enough coverage on Teresa. So we had to overcompensate for that. But performance wise, it's like they like nailed it. So it's just interesting to see like how certain scenes develop and why, and things like that. You'll have certain scenes that are problems for one reason, timing and running behind. You'll have other scenes that are problems because you didn't put enough coverage on the shot list. Okay, interior, exterior, Spencer's entryway, front door, blue hour. Spencer fumes towards the front door. He opens it expecting Kincaid, but stops, staring at something off camera. What the? He leans down to a duffel bag with an envelope on top. He opens it, a note. Kincaid, voiceover.
Spencer, I noted your concern. This is for the problems. I think you'll like it. Happy holidays. With love, your neighbor. All the best. Kincaid.
Spencer unzips the bag cautiously to find hundreds of dollar bills. Hold on Spencer's bewildered stare and cut.
This was, we got all this.
Yeah. Screenwriting lesson: never write characters talking to themselves because they never make the cut. I wrote in this that Spencer says, "What the?" as he looks outside. People don't do that in real life, and you'll write it in a script, and the actor won't do it. And Adam didn't do it, and it was a better choice. So there you go. Don't waste your time like I do. All right, scene 14. Exterior, Kincaid's porch, morning. Exterior, scene 14. Exterior, Kincaid porch, morning, blue hour. Music still plays. Knock, 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 knock. Spencer pounds on Kincaid's door. Spencer. Last chance, Kincaid. Turn down your music or I swear to God I'll call the cops. Kincaid? Knock, knock, knock. All right, motherfucker, fine. Here we go. Spencer reaches into his pocket. He can't find his phone. God damn it. I'll be back. He turns and storms across Kincaid's yard. Pan left with Spencer into his yard through his front door.
Yeah, it's not in the movie.
Nope. There's this little sequence here that just slowed down the movie too much. It's everything from after the bedroom scene until the final scene. And so something had to go, and this was the thing that had to go. It's just not in the movie.
The same with scene 15.
Yeah. I think scene 14, 15, and the office scene where he's on the phone as a real estate guy are the only scenes that were wholesale cut. Everything else has been used in some fashion. Those scenes just don't exist, though. And the movie's better for them. We'll go ahead and read scene 15, even though we cut it. Interior, Spencer's house, morning. The music, now muffled sounds. Spencer storms past the Christmas-laden entryway, tripping and mumbling to himself. He enters his room and disappears. After a beat, he storms out with a duffel bag and phone. You just don't need that. You see him go grab things, and you can just cut outside with him have the things, and you don't need it. So that's why it's not there. Scene 16. Exterior, Spencer's backyard, morning. The music is clear and loud. Spencer stalks his fence line, looking towards Kincaid's house, phone in one hand, duffel bag in the other.
911, what is your emergency?
Hi, I'm at 1138 Maple Drive. My neighbor has been playing loud music all night, and he left money at my door.
Money, sir?
Money, cash, like a big bag. I don't know. It was like something out of a mob movie.
He's in the mob, sir?
No, maybe. I don't know. He showed up at my door 3 times. He's not well. I think he's having a mental health episode. He's spying on my family.
Okay. Your address is 1138 Maple?
Spencer starts to walk towards Kincaid's house. That's right, 1138.
All right. Well, we advise you keep your distance and do not provoke him. We'll send a unit over immediately.
Thank you so much. He hangs up. You hear that, motherfucker? Cops are on their way. You're done. The music keeps playing, nothing stirring from the other side of the fence. Hey, don't fucking ignore me, man. Take your fucking money. Spencer tries to hulk the bag over the fence, but it's too heavy, and it plops off the fence. He picks the bag up, and with his phone in one hand, he heaves the bag over the fence. But as the bag goes over, he fumbles. He fumbles his phone and drops it in Kincaid's yard. Fuck! Kincaid, throw my phone back. I know you're back there, asshole. I hear your music. But the fence is quiet. Spencer looks back at his house, then to the fence line. Fuck it. He climbs the fence.
Still one of my favorite scenes. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it when we wrote it. I loved filming it. Adam, there's a lot of heroes. I think pre-production and post all came together for this one. It's funny. Every time he says fuck, every time we see the duffel hit the tree and fall, I laugh like without fail.
Yeah.
It's so
Yep.
funny. Um, and this it was really important. It was really important to, for the first time in this film, show Spencer being privileged and a little Karen like
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah.
we get that he's paranoid, but now he is quite literally both in his actions. He literally steps over the fence. Like
Yeah.
we had to get him and the audience to this point where like, why would he go over there? Because
Mm-hmm.
even though Kincaid has come to his front doorstep, he's never gone in the house. He's never like
Yeah.
gone past that, as I would call like the barrier of convention.
Yeah.
Right? And Spencer makes that choice, and yeah, it's because he was so angry he pushed his phone over the fence, which I think is so deeply ironic and funny.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite scenes too. It
And
always has
you,
been.
and we were writing this, I think you were the hero in that sense too, because you put together that his phone went over the fence. That was we were always struggling to figure out, why does Spencer go back there? And
Yeah.
in a lot of the drafts, we were trying to justify that Spencer was more of an aggressor, and it just never. We were focusing too much on Kincaid's backyard too, and like and how the
Mm-hmm.
death was going to happen, and this was just a really fun and grounded way. Like, of course, you would call the cops. I think you found the cops,
Yeah.
and then you found the phone going over the fence, and it's just so good.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I don't know. I just really like the scene.
Yeah,
I think it's really funny. To me it was always like I've had moments like that where you are so angry and you do something really stupid because
yes,
you're angry. Like you can't find your keys because you're just fucking pissed, and then like you shut your door and you shut your door too hard and like a painting falls off the thing, and it's like those moments aren't just movie moments. They happen in life, and they happen when you're so irritated and frustrated that you just can't fucking handle it, you know? And it's the dumbest shit. It's the stupidest stuff, right? It's like he throws his bag and it hits the tree, and like he's like, God damn it! And he goes over to pick up the bag, and he's trying to push the bag over, and then the phone goes. It's like that kind of stuff is like I feel like that happens in life, um, and I think it needed to be something that innocent that got him over there. Um, that and this is also like if we're talking about heroes of the scene, like Adam Haydenboo is.
the hero, the
I
hero.
mean,
He's
he had so
so
many
funny.
ideas for this scene that were just dead on. Like he does this thing in the draft where he says my neighbor has been playing music all night. Do you hear that? And he holds up the phone to the fence.
Yeah,
and,
that was
and then we added the cop says yes. Like, and it's funny. It gets a laugh out of me every time. That was Adam. The bag hitting the tree. It's in the script that it hits the fence. Um, but Adam's like, I think it's funnier if it hits the tree. He's just really, and he showed me exactly how it would work, and it was hilarious. All his like, it's not in here in the way that he did it, and he did it so much better. But like that moment where he says thank you so much, and he does
yeah.
he does it
He
so
really
softly, and then he hangs up. Hear that, motherfucker? Like it's just such a funny flip. It's so good.
and he
Uh,
sells it.
and yeah,
He sells that flip. He's
yeah,
such a good actor. Also an
yeah,
amazing filmmaker. Like
yeah,
he brought up the
yeah.
tree because he saw frame and he just knew it would block better, and he knew that it was more comedic.
We needed this scene. One of the big notes we got from the early drafts of the edit were that Spencer's ramp into mania into being mad doesn't happen in the right way. So we were trying to work on that in this draft, and we decided to shoot the final scene handheld while we shot everything else stable, which is
Mm.
exactly the way Spencer likes his life. It's like very structured and stable. Everything's on sticks. We use slow zoom lenses. Nothing's erratic. And then the second things start to get a little shaky, Tyler added this camera shake, which was great, but we did not shoot that scene that way. The only scene that was supposed to be handheld was the final scene. We added a little shake to this scene in post that Tyler did, and it works really well. It's like the perfect amount of like, hey, things are starting to come unhinged for this guy. Um, And yeah, this is like one of the scenes in the movie where it's like we weren't rushed, like we got great performances. It's like everything is working, and like this was like 7 hours into our first day, so the crew was used to each other. We were in a good rhythm. Adam was like had like funny idea. It was like just really great. It was just a really like one of those moments on set where like everything's working well. Can the whole thing be like this?
Yeah.
You know? Scene 17, Kincaid's backyard, morning. Poofed. Spencer lands in the backyard next to the duffel bag and his cell phone. He jumps up immediately, seeing Kincaid. He wears tidy whities and sunglasses and sits still, statuesque, with a Mona Lisa smile. He sits upright with perfect posture in a beach chair that's dead center of a filled kiddie pool. The aquarium of jellyfish are on the other end of the pool with his normal clothes. Kincaid says nothing, remains completely still in the pool. Spencer. Hey! Hey! Still no movement from Kincaid. Angered, Spencer picks up the duffel bag and moves to the edge of the kiddie pool. Take your money back! Spencer hurls it towards Kincaid. It wakes him. Kincaid stands in the middle of the pool.
Spencer, you shouldn't be back here. This is my space.
Oh, really? Your space? Buddy, you've been in my space all night. Welcome to the party. You really are a creep. What the fuck is all this shit?
I left you money for the problems. People like money.
Nah, nope. Can't buy me off. I called the police. You're going down.
That's why you're scared. The police. Don't be scared. The police won't hurt you. That's why you live here. I'll give you a hug.
Kincaid steps towards Spencer.
I'll give you a hug.
Don't fucking touch me! Kincaid steps too close. Spencer shoves Kincaid over the pool, and he pulls Spencer back with him. The men wrestle, splashing, but Spencer wins fast, strangling him. Close on, Spencer squeezing Kincaid harder. Close on, the jellyfish swim and change color. Close on, Kincaid gasping and gasping and gasping. His eyes shoot side to side, alien-like, back and forth. Ode to Joy rises in the background until we cut wide, completely still, no music. Just awkward grunting, watching a suburban nightmare. Two grown men strangling one another in a kiddie pool. After a long beat out of seemingly nowhere, poof! Kincaid explodes into blue powder. Spencer, still crouched, is shaking and caked in blue. A long beat. We hold on Spencer for uncomfortably long. Siren sound and Spencer's hands tremble. Guilty. What was that? Then, ring, his phone. It's on the grass. Spencer picks it up. Spencer. Hello?
Hey, Spencer, I know it's early. Just one question. The counters, were they real marble?
End. Wide. Spencer in blue, catatonic in the pool, jellyfish behind him, and the sun rising above Kincaid's roof. Cut to black. The end.
Jellyfish Man.
The Jellyfish Man.
Was there ever a theme disagreement between you and me on how this should end? Because I remember being hesitant to him dying. Like, and I
Yeah.
remember pitching a few drafts where like he's not dead or he doesn't blow up. But you
Yeah.
really pushed us to focus on this death.
Yeah. I thought it was important. Um, I think I think a lot of things happen, and when you're writing something, especially when you're playing the character, is that a lot of times we really empathize with the characters that we write, and especially that we take on,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
we don't
That
want bad
bias
things to happen to them.
Well, that bias was part of that was real. I mean, there was definitely a part of me that was like, oh God, like I love this character and I love the feature version of him that I see. And I was always scared. I was like, oh no, like you just don't get enough time with him to justify it.
Yeah,
But
but I think
we do.
the reason that we ended up doing it and was because I think in order to really get like the theme across of like that, people are capable of anything, and that like it really takes a lot to be a good neighbor, and like if you are to just have a conversation with someone, something awful could be stopped, and Spencer never does that. We had to go like we had to go as far as killing him. Like we had to have Spencer do that, um, for that message to come through. you know um, you have to show the tragedy of something to feel its effect sometimes, and that's what we ended up deciding for this ending was that that we needed that to happen. And also, who's to say he's dead? He's he's a magical being who poofs, and he has some
Well,
connection with this jellyfish, and we don't know where he went or what happened. We're certainly left with the impression that he is gone, and that's what Spencer thinks. But yeah, I think that sums up that conversation. At least, I don't know. How did you feel about all that? Like while we were going through it?
well, I think what was really helpful always as someone who makes things is to have a deadline. And the three of us committed to this project, and we had gone about 2 weeks, 3 weeks of writing drafts of this project. Because again, I mean, we were Spider-Maning it, right? We were just like, oh, we're here for a month. Let's
Yeah,
shoot something. That time
yeah,
could have been spent making a lot of things, but it is not the Ben Davis way to not go balls deep. And we did that, and so we were at the point where we were going to do this project. We had already reached out to people. We had built in commitments. We had asked for people's time. We were starting to put some of our money towards things, and
yeah,
and I was still indecisive about how, like, should he die, should he not? But you explaining what you just said really pushed me there, and I'm glad that we did it. And I do, when you watch this movie, hopefully you're left with this like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that, because it's crazy.
yeah,
He explodes into blue powder, and then we
yeah,
commit to that, and then we just sit on
yeah,
this guy in blue powder. So that happened. We have these
yeah,
hints that, okay, the jellyfish changes color. I guess Kincaid, there's something there. Right? If you catch that, you're like, okay, I don't know what that is. But
yeah,
but Kincaid has changed something about the jellyfish, which is again our motif for something different in a conventional place. Um,
yeah.
and so, yeah, this scene accomplishes everything. Playing it, I mean, dude, I was so cold. It
It
was
was cold.
it was like in the 40s, 30s.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like we the day before, that was the day that your car died, and we were loading all the craft services, and it was like 78 degrees, and we were like sweating, like bringing stuff in. Like it was hot. It was like kind of hot for like a week before Christmas. Um, and and then like a cold front came in that night, and of course it's the night that Gregory is is in socks and tube socks and underwear in a pool in the backyard.
Yeah.
um
But
and
Sherry, this
yeah,
is, Sherry Fruhan, our host, is a mom and
yeah,
is just an amazing person. And
yeah,
we were like, we need a fire out here. I was like, I need something warm, because the where inside was, it was too far, and the house is so big, it doesn't get like, you're not stepping into a sauna when you step in the house. And
yeah,
so Sherry had a huge fireplace and started making a fire. And in between setups, I would leave, I'd run out of that kiddie pool, and I'd go warm up by the fire. And we also realized, I wish, and Adam had mentioned this, that we should have choreographed this before getting in the pool. But we basically we took a good 15 minutes with Anthony Milton, and we
yeah,
choreographed what falling in the pool would look like. And
yeah, how to do it safely. Made sure they only had to fall one time.
yep,
We shot that in slow
that
mo.
and that shot of us falling in, I mean, that's it. There's nothing else.
Yeah,
We never.
we didn't do it twice. Yeah,
And I wish too that this is when you do this, you're always like, I wish we could have done blah, blah, blah. It would have been
right.
great to have that rehearsal, and then I wish I was able to give you a few more takes, like a few more, because I was freezing. I mean, it was getting.
I think it's great. Like
Yeah,
it's and the fact that you're cold and like you were pretty miserable, I think helps because like Kincaid is like he's like a puppy kind of in a lot of ways. He's just trying to be happy and he doesn't really understand
and
like
strangling a puppy would that's what this is. If you're strangling a puppy,
yeah, yeah.
it's horrific, because the puppy
Cuz
doesn't understand.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't know why this.
And Adam doesn't even take time to realize it's a puppy, He's just like angry at the fact that it won't shut up, you know. Um and but I think to that point, like you're so happy and so chipper until he kind of scolds you on the doorway, that I think when Spencer jumps over the fence and invades your space, it is such a shocking, startling thing to you that like you would have take kind of an animal instinct and shell up, and your voice would change, and like and all those things happened, and I think partially because you were so cold.
Well, and
uh
there were, yeah,
but
it was Adam too giving that. Like it was all in the acting too. I remember I was sitting there and I was cold, but I had like done a lot of deep like Wim Hof like breath work, so my body temperature was regulating. But then we did a take, and it's that take where Aaron's handheld and coming towards me over Adam's shoulder, and Adam throws the cash and he hits me. He had been missing
oh
me.
yeah.
He hit
Yeah.
me, and so my skin has just been in like 30-degree weather, and it's just
Oh
raw.
yeah.
And it it hurt. It hurt.
Didn't you have a mark
I
there for
did. I
like
welted up.
like
It
yeah.
hurt, and you hear it in the sound design, and like there, I give a little grunt because
Yeah. Yeah.
fucking hurt. But it motivated. I mean, I think it was mostly that take that we
Yeah.
used on my coverage, at least, because I
Yeah.
was really motivated, and I was there, and I was terrified, and it was so fun to play that.
Yeah, that was a really fun scene. It was stressful. We were shooting it at like magic hour right as the sun was kind of starting to go down. So of course this always happens. It's like the most important scene of the movie, and we only have this finite window to get it. And there's all these, I don't know how many setups we did, probably 12 in just that scene,
I mean,
between all the inserts
the
of the
hero is
money and all
Aaron.
the like.
Aaron was
Yeah.
unbelievable. Aaron, I mean,
Yeah.
he was opping. So your
Yeah.
DP's opping and running around, and he has a rig on, and he's squatting down, and you and the AD are just you have to go.
Milton too. Milton was awesome. Like Milton and Youngblood saved that saved that moment. And then you guys were killer. Like that was another time where like everything kind of worked, It was stressful, but it wasn't like the stress didn't impede the process. It kind of helped the process cuz that the everyone is supposed to be stressed in that scene. The camera work is supposed to feel stressed, and you guys are supposed to feel stressed. Um, but yeah, it was like everything felt really good. Um, we did that VFX moment is funny. It's like so many things are happening, and the best way to do it, the way that we ended up doing it, was like when Gregory disappears, we have Adam strangles him,
Yeah,
and we basically had Adam pause,
I
and
have
they
to
both
crawl out.
they hold still. Adam holds still completely in this freezing water. It's like super fucking cold. And then Gregory crawls out without Adam moving as little as he can. And then Gregory completely leaves the frame. We're still rolling. And then Rose Youngblood, Aaron's wife, our production designer, she walks in with this bag full of blue stuff. She's standing in the frame. We key her out later. She's standing in the frame, and she just, and then I go, okay, and poof, and she just throws
The
this
proof,
blue
yes,
shit
yes.
on Adam, and then you just comp it all. But it's like it's such old-fashioned movie tricks. It's like we didn't, we're gonna enhance it a little bit in VFX, but like we really did just shoot all that stuff.
Very
It's all one
practical.
take that we just change. It's all very practical and like old school. Um, but there's just so much in that scene. Like there's so many. There's VFX. There's like slow mo. There's stunts. There's like a big dramatic portion, and like it could have gone so south, and it just all worked so well because our crew is so good.
Yeah,
And Yeah, the funny thing also too is that like in the movie these are taking place in houses right next door to each other, but we completely cheat that. It's all one house. Like
it's all
uh
serious. Yeah.
yeah, we just had the location for Sherry's house, so he jumps over one side of the fence, and then and we talked to the neighbors over there, and we're like, we're not asking to shoot here, but can we just have like can we just have one person land over? So that scene where he jumps over is the only time we're ever actually on their property. And they let us shoot a scene at the door too that we didn't use, but like they let us do that. And then he jumps over the other side of Sherry's fence, and we just went to a different place where it looks like two different houses, and you never
It's a
know, but like
big
it's the same
ass,
house.
big ass backyard. Huge,
Yeah,
man,
huge
huge
backyard.
house. I mean, there's a reason
So we
why
totally faked that.
a real McMansion.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
wow, so well said. And shout out to Adam too, because we both fall in the pool at the same time. He's fully clothed in this giant like
yeah.
fur coat, which we got 2 copies of. Shout out to Alex Cohen, our
Mm-hmm.
stylist, who just killed it. Like 2 of
Yeah,
everything really set the look for this film. I mean,
yeah.
I'm wearing a Mork outfit, and Adam is stylish and bougie, but not Gucci yet. Like he's trying to be.
She really did nail it,
She
man.
nailed
Like
it.
we knew that he was gonna spend like the last minute of the movie with this like crazy like Braveheart blue on his face, uh, and I told her I was like, I when he whatever jacket he grabs, it needs to like be like a really weird jacket. Like he's too pissed to like really think about what he wears, so it should be like it shouldn't fit. So she showed me this jacket that had this awesome fur like thing around the collar, and I was like, "Oh, that's so good." And so
It's
that's what we
Braveheart.
used.
It's Braveheart.
Yeah.
Like he's getting his battle armor on. He's literally putting on battle armor, and Kincaid is stripped naked. Like these characters could not be
Hmm.
more different, like in how they
Yeah.
approach life and each other. And Adam, all that to say, Adam, fell in the pool at the same time as me, and we had a few takes of the wrestling, and you got close and wide, and that all happened pretty fast. And then I sneak out, you get your comps, and then Adam's out there for another 20 minutes in soaking wet clothes, covered in blue powder, can barely see, and he gives this sob. He like channels. He
Oh
goes
yeah.
from the
Yeah.
angriest character to the aggressor to killing someone to just bawling his eyes out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And God, he did so much good work. So much good
Hmm.
work to get there. And you only did a couple of takes of that, right? Because the sun's about to set at this point.
Yeah. He was just so good. Honestly, it was one of those things where it's like we just and it's I always love doing this. It's like we just let the camera roll and let the actor be the scene, and like the last minute of the movie is that it's just him reacting to you poofing into the cosmos and him just crying, and we just like kind of watch him. um
So cool.
and then we end on that wide shot, which is I love that shot. Rose found Sherry has all these great like statues in her backyard. And Rose and Phil had an idea like Kincaid would like bring these things around to build this like kind of like shrine place. um so that's like just more kudos to our crew of like having great ideas and like
Oh yeah.
using the location. And they're like, I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
This film would not have happened at all without the crew, and it's another reason why we're doing this Kickstarter. It's another reason why we wanted to read through the script and reflect on the decisions we made, is that a lot this money is going back to them too. And indie filmmaking, man, it's always about the team. Everyone's bringing
Mhm.
something, and our team was just amazing, and we were really nimble. We were a small crew, and we moved quickly. And no, everyone had designated roles. No one was doing more than 2 things except you, Adam, and me, which was fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we were able to cover that. And God, it was just fun. And
Yeah.
um,
That was really fun.
and one of the last things I want to say about this scene, real quick, is you mentioned you really like that last shot, that wide, and kind of resting there. And
Yeah.
it's very funny now that we've changed it to the operator commenting on
Hmm.
him crying. We're not doing this
Yeah.
real estate thing, but the visual was always there. And
Yeah.
when you, Adam, and I were talking about the project together for the first time, um, you and him brought up Gregory Crewdson,
Yeah.
you know, photos. You brought up Gregory Crewdson photography, and he captures very much the exact like ethos of this project, which is these very dark and off-putting images of suburbia and suburban life in
Yeah.
America
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
And that is a
It's
Gregory
a really
Crewdson.
weird place if you look hard enough. Like the suburbs are so kind of
Yeah.
placid and mundane, but if you just squint a little bit, you'll see some really odd shit there. And I think that that's like all Crutzen saw. If you look at his work, it's just like these really dark, morose sort of like versions of the suburbs.
And
And
this is our painting, right? It is a man
yeah,
in a kiddie pool surrounded by these little Easter island-esque shrines, and
yeah,
he's covered in blue powder. And then we're VFXing in these police lights coming from behind the fence. So there's something ominous in the distance, like something's about to
yeah,
happen. And what we do know for sure is that something just happened. If you were
yeah,
just to look at this still, you'd be like, something just happened. What happened? And when you're structuring a short, it's really great to end with that question. What just happened?
yeah, yeah. It's fun. I really love this scene. Um, this was like the scene that we've always built the movie around. So we did the same thing for the short. It was kind of like we knew we ended here, so how we got there was going to be different in the short than the feature. But um, it was cool to do it and see it like after years of talking about a scene where this character that we had, Spencer, who we knew was going to be played by Higginboo, somehow in frustration and anger or confusion or all of the above, strangles this sweet uh, character Kincaid, which was going to be played by you. We talked about that 3 years ago, and this, to shoot it and have you two play those parts and do that scene, pretty cool.
It's really cool. It's really cool to do this Kickstarter. It's cool to reflect and share on this process. I love making shit with you, man. I will always
Me
make
too.
shit with
It's
you.
fun.
I will always make
It
shit
is.
with you.
Some if it's up to me, then I will write about real shit with you forever.
Well,
Right.
we clearly love potty humor. When will we grow
I
up?
love
That's the
it.
question.
Never. No, I love it too, man. It's working with all of you guys, Aaron and Adam and Tyler and you and um you know everyone else that gets to come on when we do these things is so fun. And if you want to make movies, then do it. It's really fun. You don't need anyone to tell you that you can do it. You don't need to wait for permission. I think Gregory and I have spent a lot of years waiting for permission, and um, the times that we've had the most fun, the times that we've felt the most fulfilled. I don't want to speak for you, but for me personally, is when we've said, "Nah, fuck that. Like we're just gonna go do this thing,"
Yeah.
and figured out a way to do it. And we're lucky to be surrounded by a bunch of great people that can help us in those pursuits. But we would also love to help support any films you guys make if you choose
Oh
to
my God.
do such a silly
Yes.
endeavor.